Then, oh, there we go.
It
There we
begins.
go.
Do not do that.
Okay.
Let me check my email, see if anybody's freaking out.
Aloha, everyone.
Hello. Good to see you, Sherry. Good morning.
Okay.
Good to see everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Morning.
Hi, John.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, welcome to Conversations with the Mayor, with Mayor Paul Grisanti, brought to you by the Malibu Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Barbara Brudelin, for being our Zoom master, and Chris, Zoom masters, maestros, and setting this up for us. Zoom master? Okay, that's preferred. And setting this up, and thank you all for being here. My name is Ian Rovin. I'm the past chairperson of the Malibu Chamber of Commerce and Malibu attorney. Chris is our current chair, and he's graced us with his presence for conversations with our mayor. So Chris, thank you for that.
Thank you, Ian.
Our fearless leader. And a quick reminder, we changed the format of this event. Admit all, here we go. Oh, Chris, you got the admissions going.
We have two board of directors that joined us today.
No question.
Great. So, okay, so we changed the format. We're inviting more of outside comment. As such, please keep your microphones muted. If you'd like to opine, please. It's opine, Sherry, or opine. I don't know why I'm asking you. I just figure you're.
I say opine.
Opine. Okay. If you'd like to opine, please type into the chat, and I'll be on the lookout for you to unmute. Also, you can raise that virtual hand of yours. Not virtually raise your hand, but literally raise your virtual hand. And as moderator, I will do my best to call on anybody who'd like to speak on the topic of discussion at the time. I like to stick and keep things orderly. If you want to talk about anything else, just mention it in the chat, and I'll be sure I'll add it to my list. But it has to be relevant, obviously. But please note, we are limited for time, and we have many topics to discuss. We have several board members joining us. Sherry Davis is here. John Johannesson is here. Chris, obviously our chair as a board member, is here. Paul, our mayor. And let's see in the crowd, am I missing? Danielle Dutcher is here. Unless somebody stole her computer and is just using it to log in. She doesn't need to speak. It's okay. Speak if you like. But anyway, with that, happy gloomy Thursday, Mayor Paul. I very much respect that you're here. You're taking your sweet time to join us and to discuss these very difficult topics of, traffic and things of that nature. So and parking, can't forget parking. And I very much appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Thank you. My first question is, what can you do about this weather? It's been gloomy for a while, and I'd like to go on a walk or a hike.
Well, I'm thinking of passing an ordinance on Monday night that will make it illegal for the sun to not shine by 1 o'clock every day.
I love that, Paul.
And I think it's pressing the limits of what is physically capable for me to do, but I think it's the best thing for the city of Malibu.
And I can't wait for Mitch McConnell to pick that up and to suggest that Malibu is going to sue the sun. But thank you for that. Our first major topic is something that is near and dear to my heart: school separation. It's advancing. We had a meeting, I believe it was last week on the 10th. Was that Wednesday?
That's correct.
Everyone telling LACO pretty much why they want out. So how did that meeting go in your mind?
I thought it went fairly well. It went as well as could be expected. We had no trouble in filling up our 45 minutes of comments. We wanted to speak about why it makes sense for the city of Malibu to be separated from Santa Monica. And Santa Monica was not able to fill their 45 minutes. They were only able to utilize about 20 minutes of their time. So it's not that this is something that the people in Santa Monica are speaking. main complaints that thought were very interesting is that the city of Malibu has been requesting information from SMM.
Your microphone's cutting out just a little bit. I'm not sure if.
Sorry, I should
Okay.
turn up my mic. The city of Malibu has been
Yeah.
requesting additional information from SMM USD so we can fill the calculations necessary to survive, to demonstrate that we can meet the 9 criteria that need to be met in order for us to become a school district. And we have also been submitting hundreds of pages of things to LACO, which don't seem to be getting read. So it is an uphill battle. We make it through LACO, we're still going to have to go to the next step, and could take as long as 5 years, which is not what anybody wants to hear. It's not what I want to tell you, but we are spending money. So far, the city of Malibu, the last 3 years, has spent about $420,000 on this process. And we're convinced it's worth it. It is our second priority of the 3 top priorities. And so, and we've spent considerably more on the first and third. So,
Yeah, thank you for making me the 3rd priority.
well, you know, Ian, you're always looking out for homegrown people.
Yes.
Whatever we can do.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience about school separation? Comments? Fun thoughts? No? Okay.
Well, actually, I'll
Oh,
ask
yeah.
a question. How do the students feel about it in these areas? Like, I always hear about the parents and everything, but like, do the kids have any opinion on this?
For the kids that go to school in Malibu now, will still be going to school in Malibu afterwards. The difference is that they will probably have a lot more language opportunities. Santa Monica currently has 5 languages being taught there. And English, Spanish, German, French, and I think Chinese. And Malibu just has 1 additional language, English and Spanish. So that's just one of the different kinds of things. And the same thing, we don't really have much in the way of band programs and things like that. Santa Monica has much better offerings for their students. And since we're paying about twice as much per student as they are, it would seem that simple equity would demand that we get as many offerings as they've got. But that's,
Yeah, and I think
so
they
I think
also.
the kids will like it better after we're split. But, you know, the great thing about being a young person is that until you want to do something and you can't, and they tell you you can do it, but you have to ride a bus a couple of hours each day, they're perfectly happy with what we give them until they decide they want something else and discover it comes with a price like that. So.
Very cool, Paul. Interesting.
Yeah, and as a former alum of the Malibu school system, you know, I appreciate, Paul, what you're saying, and I think they're also teaching now Latin in Santa Monica, and I just, you know, I just know that it would have given us, it probably would have given us a little bit more of a leg up on, you know, when we were applying to universities or, you know,
Law school.
Law school probably would have helped me a little bit. I mean, I did all right. I got that certificate. I think they call it a license, but you can't use it to drive or anything. Just drive people crazy. But no, and I was part of the music program with Bill Bixler, who was amazing. I mean, we were really blessed with the teachers that we had, but there was always, you know, that lack of funding, that overworked sense, where he was balancing the jazz band, the orchestra, all these other things. and just the fact that we're paying more per student and kind of getting shafted is was a little, it's upsetting anyway. As somebody who also has a kid who's probably going to go into the Malibu school system.
Well, I hope we'll have them split by the time your daughter gets to actually attend classes.
Yeah, but she already knows Chinese and Latin, so I think we can do without that. 17 months old, she's like a little, I'm kidding. We have a question from the audience, but also we have one from Barbara.
I just want to understand, why don't we have a band program? I mean, why don't we just put one together? Or, the equity.
The problem, of course, is that you need to hire a teacher who has to be part of the, the union and everything. And our funding is controlled by in Santa Monica.
Oh,
And we have some people out here doing band stuff, but when, Santa Monica for so many years had Stairway to the Stars,
Mhm.
and people participated with that.
I remember Stairway to the Stars, lugging around my tuba over to Samo,
Yeah.
to
And,
the center, yeah.
but the most recent version of that had no representation from Malibu. It just didn't open it to us. So
it's such a glaring inequity. I can't believe it, but thank you.
that's exactly what we believe. And Santa Monica really doesn't care is what it comes down to. And that's why we want to go. It's time.
Interesting.
Just a quick anecdote. This thought came to my mind of me lugging the tuba around to Stairway to the Stars and the trombone. And I remember they wouldn't allow us to have snacks or water that wasn't provided by them. So this is a confession, actually. It seems like it's confessions with the mayor. So I would stuff water and things inside the tube, inside the bell. And then I'm not saying whether I would sell it or not to other students, but essentially there was a mini little musical black market going on. Anyway, we have some questions in the audience. Mr. K, will all the funds gained from separation be allocated to MUSD?
Probably not. What we're hoping for and what's probably going to happen is it's a divorce and we're going to have to pay alimony for some length of time. Santa Monica's position is that we should pay alimony forever. And
isn't that just being part of the same district?
Well, even if we come down to that, it would still be better because we would have control of that. But basically their position is not that there should be equity or anything like that, but whatever percentage of our property taxes they're getting now, a percentage of that funds, they want it to continue in perpetuity.
Oh, okay.
So, and as property values go up, it would go up.
Oh, of course. Uh-oh. Would somebody want to say something risque? No.
I had to say, I keep hitting that same button in these meetings. It looks so similar to another button that closes the chat.
Okay, Paul, thank you for that. Here's another one, Molly Ripton. If Malibu becomes a separate district, how will the curriculum / school programs change?
Good question.
Well, Molly, what will happen is if we were to become another district, we would have, and we didn't have to pay any alimony, we would have approximately twice as much per student to deal with as we have now. And that would enable us to hire more teachers, have more programs. And the other thing that it would make much more likely is we would actually have a superintendent out here with the power to make things happen. Right now, we have someone who's kind of a representative of the superintendent's office out here. And I'm sure he sends off memos all the time about things they need. But he doesn't have the power to actually make it happen. It actually needs to be checked off and approved by Santa Monica. And usually the answer is no. And it's as simple as the fact that, you know, we have had problems over the years just getting the janitors to come out here and work. We need our own janitors who don't have to be back in Santa Monica by a certain time every day.
Another note there, and I kind of want to, I know you're probably taking nominations for superintendent. Maybe not, I'm just going to blab because it's conversation, right? I want to formally nominate my former principal for Malibu High, Mike Matthews, if we could. I think he just exited his spot down in the, where was it? Was he in Laguna?
It was in the South Bay, I think. And I think
Yeah.
you're not the first person to suggest him. And I think that everybody, whoever worked with him, loved him. And if he were available and we become our own school district, I'm sure he would be part of it. You know, he would be someone that people talk to and they're wanting to hire us.
Maybe I'll stop him on the street when I see him next.
Yeah.
I just want to hear him say "Have a good day, y'all" one more time into this, PA system. All right. Anything else on school separation? Anybody in the chat here? Oh, how are we doing creating a paved parking lot? Okay, so parking is coming up, so we will do that. Or you know what? Let's do it now. It's coming up third. We'll put it to second. How are we doing creating a paved parking lot for events like the Malibu Arts Festival?
Well, paved parking lot. Basically, what has happened to us is a result of COVID, and we need to, the city of Malibu has these vacant pieces of land that were bought about almost 4 years ago now. And we have not had any substantial input from the citizens of Malibu about what they want. The triangle lot, the one closest to Webway and Civic Center Way and Pacific Coast Highway, in that triangle there, was actually bought at least partially with funds from that are supposed to be for a park and ride lot. Mm-hmm. So that's the logical place to do it. It would be lovely to have a lot there. I think it could accommodate about 100 cars, which would be very helpful. And it could also every day help us out with the problem we have, because Nobu is so popular that all the people who have homes around there and the other businesses find their parking being taken up by cars that are stashed by the valets.
Right here, Paul. I live next to Nobu and I have an office next to Nobu. All street parking's gone. That's it.
Well, they have a bunch of employees who show up every day who aren't allowed to park on their lot. So they park on the street and take up the spaces. It would be an easy deal with them to get Nobu to commit to the spaces and then run a shuttle from that lot to work. And because you have people showing up for shifts, it's not like you're going to be running the shuttle continuously. But
yeah.
That is a great idea that I think makes a lot of sense. And at one point, it was even being promoted by Steve Uring, who's also on the city council, and John Mazza. And so, of course, now that I've said I'm in favor of it, they'll probably be against
it. Aye. Anything else on parking here? Okay.
But basically, yeah, John, the answer is we have to have the input about all the lots and get enough people to agree it's a good idea, or else we're going to spend the rest of the time I'm in office listening to people singing "Paved Paradise" and put up a parking lot.
Right.
Yeah, we need parking though for so many things, not just for parking cars. We're trying to have events like the art festival and just, you know, the farmers market is getting squeezed out of a parking lot. with the new Santa Monica College. There's just a number of events that would be held more often. Even the chili cook-off, it deals with the dust bowl mess that when you have a cook-off.
Right.
And why we don't have a parking lot that's actually paved and professionally set up by now, maybe even with some restrooms, for the city of Malibu is almost shocking that at this point in age that we haven't come that far.
Well, the optics of it all are that there's a large number of people in Malibu whose thoughts are that any amenity we add is simply going to attract more people to Malibu and make Malibu more unlivable.
I would say that they thought that about Whole Foods, and it sits there empty every day. Didn't happen.
And it was the most wonderful thing that went in. Everyone loves it.
And parking lots, I mean, maybe I'm just weird here, but parking lots are truly attractive things. Only if you paint the lines parallel.
You know what we could do? And we could have, instead of tours of the stars' homes, tours of the parking lots of Malibu.
There you go.
People could ride out in those little carts and ride around and stop and take pictures at each parking lot.
Do you know how fast Coastal Commission would come bring the hammer down?
It'd be a 3-minute tour.
Right.
No, any visitor serving use is fine.
Sherry.
But would Jay Leno come to all of them? I just wanted to add the farmer's market is still in the parking lot in back of me.
We're still in the parking lot in back of you, and the city of Malibu has arranged for them to use the chili cook-off lot next door for parking while the construction and everything else is going on. So
All right.
we are making use of it.
Thank you. Next topic here, we have Westwood Beach. I think we talked about it a little bit last time. There was an appeal, I believe, for the project on Westward.
There's an appeal for the project on Westwood Beach. The road out to the parking lot between Birdview and the Point, which was redone, was finally completed this last week. Road is open, so those 300 or so parking spaces out there are available again. What we have on the agenda for this next Monday is a discussion of the parking plan for Westwood Beach Road. That was the portion that between Birdview and Pacific Coast Highway that has the parallel parking. And that was a project to take that and convert it to angle parking, which would yield us more parking spaces. When we first started talking about it about 4 years ago, the thought was we would have to widen the road about 15 feet so that we could angle park and get cars all the way off the road. And that would solve some of the people waiting for parking spaces, but it would also make it impossible for people with motorhomes and those giant buses to park there.
That's huge.
Use up all the spaces. What happened though is there was mission creep came in while this project was working through, and somebody decided it would be a great idea to add a boardwalk and a bike path. And so instead of adding 15 feet, it was 24 feet. And then they decided to add some parking for bicycles opposite the restaurant, which pushed that portion out to 42 feet. So that gets you too close to the mean high tide, and that's what we're going to be talking about on Monday night.
Awesome. So, speaking of tide, and I know Chris is going to love this. I saw somewhere, and I'm forgetting where I saw it, but the status of that fire/tsunami warning system. I think there was something about pushing it on the radio and then having the sirens out there.
Oh, I'm curious about this. For sure.
That's going to be on the agenda also on Monday night. And there's a contract that they want us to approve to go out to design on the sirens. And the sirens are also going to be linked to an FM radio situation, and people will be able to buy, or we will provide them, that's not really decided yet, an FM device that will sit in your house and listen to the signal, which is doing nothing until there is an emergency. At that point, the signal will turn the radio on and announce that the radio will announce if there's a fire coming, do whatever you need to do to get out or whatever, or watch television, get the news somehow out there that there is a fire coming. And I guess if you're home asleep and suddenly this radio turns on and starts talking, you're likely to wake up, even if you have triple glazed windows and the sirens are unhearable.
Got it.
So for those,
you have both then. So you have the siren noise, and then you also have the FM radio option that tells you even more detail than the siren would. Is that correct?
Right, because the problem with the sirens is if you've got a Santa Ana that's howling, it's very difficult or impossible to hear things that are coming from out further away than a few hundred feet, basically.
right.
That's cool. And Paul, would this cover multiple disaster types? So not just fires, say we have a tsunami.
The system will be there, and we could use it to advise of anything.
That's cool. Earthquakes, all of it. I think that's
part of it is it would definitely be hooked into earthquakes. And if Hans used an example on the radio this morning, he said that if the San Andreas fault goes, we would get about a 30-second warning from those radios.
wow.
So just because of the distance from the rupture zone to mountain.
Scary.
Yeah, let's just hope The Rock is here to help us. And by the way, for those of you who don't know,
Great movie.
yeah, yes, thank you.
I love that one. He rode the tsunami at the end, right?
Yes,
The base of it.
love it. He's like our generation Steven Seagal. But actually, Steven Seagal is our generation Steven Seagal. And for those of you who don't know, this very new technology called frequency modulation. It's FM radio. Sometimes the old stuff works, right?
Is that what FM stands for?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there we go. So I very much appreciate that. And I think a nice warning system would be good, especially for an earthquake, as us young families are just trying to figure out what to do, and then an earthquake hits, and then all of a sudden you don't know where in your house you're supposed to stand, and then your wife yelling at you during this last earthquake. This doesn't happen to anybody else. Okay, cool. Next here, unless people have more to comment about the warning system, it's on here. Where's the agenda? I think it's the last item on this next agenda, right?
Well, I've got
6B.
some stuff I want to add in.
Oh, okay. To add into the topics that we're discussing now. Okay, in the agenda.
A new topic.
Okay. We have fire rebuilds and fee waivers. I have notes.
Yeah, the
here.
fee waivers, we just renewed those for another 18 months, basically. And so if right now there's only 55 or so houses that have been completed. There's another somewhere between 125 and 150 that have pulled permits, and they're trying to get built. And there is another, and in total, there are 319 as of a few days ago who had gotten the approvals from planning, and then were working their way through building and safety. And of those, 120 some are still working on getting their permits. Yeah, so that's all going along. And that tells us that there's about 150 people whose houses burned down who still have not even applied for a permit to rebuild. And we do have people who are now finally getting paid for their litigation with Southern California Edison. We have people who are in litigation with their insurance companies. All of those things are happening. It's a horrendous burden on those people. And having done that twice already, I can tell you that you definitely don't want that to happen.
Yeah, Paul, on a personal note, my mom was one of those. She was the only house that burned down on Heathercliff, and it's terrible, you know. And finally, it sounds like all these lawsuits are settling, but they're slow moving beasts.
Mhm.
So is she under construction?
No, she's not. You know, she ended up finding a new place and relocated. She actually even left and went to Lake Tahoe for 2 years. So it really disrupted her whole world.
Yeah.
It was-
Oh,
So we want the families back. We need them to make the schools work.
that's Paul advocating for more children, everybody. So
That's right. So Ian is my star right now.
we're not announcing a pregnancy here, so nobody's.
No,
pregnant.
I was speaking in gratitude for you having your sister relocate
Yes,
with her small child
yes,
and live there as well.
yes. We're trying to bring kids however we can back into the system.
Whatever you can do, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Coastal Commission has been meeting. They started a meeting yesterday and they're going to meet today and tomorrow. And one of the things that they did was they got a report that was written by a guy named Charles Lester, who used to be a big shot at the Coastal Commission. And then they pushed him out. He ended up as doing think tank stuff up at Santa Barbara, and they hired him to write a report on what they should do about sea level rise. And his recommendation to them is that we need to start treating all new people who want to build or remodel their house on the beach. We want them to recognize that the Coastal Commission has an area of concern that goes from the existing high tide line to what it would be if we had a 10-foot sea level rise. And that's different from the 6 feet we were talking about just a couple weeks ago. And anything that's going to be within that area, if you get a permit, you have to tell them that if the water gets to your foundation, you will tear down your house and remove it. And so people are, you know, there were two things that were supposed to be on the agenda for houses in Malibu. One of them is people who had already redesigned their house to be 6 feet higher than it was before and move it back 2 feet from the string line. And those people are throwing their hands up in the air and they have withdrew their application. They're probably just going to remodel their existing house. There's another house that down by Big Rock that it looks like is going to accept this and record it. And this becomes the rule. And eventually the city of Malibu will be asked to update our local coastal plan to include this. If we do that, when we will be setting a trap for the future residents of Malibu, because when they get the word that they have to tear down their house, they're going to go and look and see why that is and want to sue somebody to pay them for the value of their house. If it's just the Coastal Commission they sue, you know, I'm fairly happy with that. But if they're going to bankrupt the city of Malibu as well, I think that's a really bad idea. And this is something that people are going to have to be very careful about in future administrations, about not incorporating that change into any local coastal plan that we have.
And I'm going to make a presumption here that if that were to happen and people had to tear up their homes because the water level rose to the foundation, or supposedly did, that property values would go down?
I would think that the closer we get to that being a reality, the property value of that property will go down.
I presume the ones along the coast, right?
That
Some
would
of
be
the
the
highest.
ones along the coast. And of course, you know, when it wipes out the colony, for example, that's going to be a major financial incident.
And probably isn't helpful to our budding young school system to not.
It isn't helpful to our property taxes. It's not going to be helpful to the health of the Pacific Coast Highway. There's actually a meeting tonight online where Caltrans is going to present their project to reinforce, I think it's 180 feet of Pacific Coast Highway in the Big Rock area down by Moon Shadows. And basically, they have the highway is being encroached upon by the ocean there, and they're going to put in a big wall to hold it back. If you're interested, you can go on the city's website and search for Caltrans meeting, which is being held tonight, and watch what's going to happen. But this is, you know, we agree that sea level rise is real, but the 6 foot of rise by the year 2100 is supposed to be a less than 0.5% possibility. And now they want us to plan for a 10 feet. So.
Well, okay.
That's
Wow.
pretty distressing. For me.
Yeah. Barbara has
Yeah.
she's getting
thank you.
ruffled.
Yeah, I had a kerfuffle. Not to mention what it's doing to the cliffs. You know, I was thinking, well, Point Doom is fine, and then they had a problem with some collapse over there because of it. It's just the continual erosion, like won't stop at PCH, right?
That bluff, if you look at the photos, Barbara's talking about the area at the end of Cliffside closest to Paradise Cove, closest to the pier.
Yeah.
There's a house there that's been there a long time, now probably close to 30 years. And it lost a few years ago, they lost some rock. And just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, they lost some rock, a little more rock, and some dirt around that's underneath the patio. And the aerial photography of where the dirt fell out of has a water collection box where the yard drains went to, and when it was in this box, and then it went down to the beach in corrugated plastic pipe. And all the corrugated plastic pipe is now sitting on the beach. And you can see that the green landscape drainage box is sitting there right in the thing. And I would guess that probably there was a leak in drainage box.
Oh, okay.
And that actually caused that.
Okay. Thank you.
That is my guess.
Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, I think there was a note here. There's that potential new software for the, oh my gosh, building and safety.
Yeah, we have a problem with people are very frustrated with the length of time it takes to process your permit and get the permit issued to you, and the items that you send out to be recorded that you need to record so you can get your permit. All of that stuff takes time. And one of the things that drives people the most crazy is once you finally think you've got everything approved and each department has had the chance to make their changes to the project, you then need to go around to all the individual departments and get a red stamp from them on your plans so that it says they're all okay with that. And what we've done is we've signed a contract for a set of a program that will allow the plans to be submitted electronically, and the electronic submittal will be simultaneously sent to all of the various departments. And if as each department makes a change, the other departments would get noticed and the upgraded plan that shows what that change is. So hopefully there will be no, gosh, I just found out about it, it's got to work its way to the top of my desk anymore. People will be getting an updated thing. And if there's a conflict between two areas, hopefully you'll learn about it a lot later than when you think you're done. A lot earlier than when you think you're done. As soon as you get the thing that says, well, the drainage people want to move everything around, and so we're going to put it here. And when that's a conflict with somebody else, they'll be able to go, wait a minute, that doesn't work. Hopefully, it will result in people being less frustrated. It'll still take too long. Hopefully, it won't take as long as it does now.
So from FM all the way to software, we're flying through history right now. This is great.
We're trying to fly through history, but I think we're stumbling through history.
We're only 31 years old, right? So got to give us a chance.
Right. We've moved out of our mother's basement, but
Right.
now we're still working on getting our own house.
Yes.
Responsible parents.
Okay, we have here sheriff's anti-camping action.
Sheriff's anti-camping action is, they're working with us and we really appreciate it. And basically, about a month ago, we recognized that the state has designated us a very high fire severity zone. And our nightmare is that there will be a fire and that people who are camped in the hills are going to end up getting late notice or no notice and end up dying. And in addition to that, we've had over 20 fires so far this year that were started in close proximity to a homeless camp. And in most cases, several of them, it's totally obvious that that's what caused it. And so we're lucky that all of those fires happened when we did not have a high wind event. Because in a high wind event, we wouldn't have had enough time for those geniuses up at Bravo 69 to hop in their helicopters and come down and put things out. They're doing a fantastic job for us. But if the wind is going 50 miles an hour, the fire size gets out of control quickly. Basically, once a fire gets beyond 5 acres in size, the chances are not going to be able to do enough with the helicopters to stop it. So that's a great thing. The other thing that we're doing is there is now a fire camera up on the top of Saddle Peak that continuously rotates, watching the horizon all the way around with an infrared thing on it. It's looking for smoke or fire.
Oh, cool. I heard about that.
And there was one that started up towards Topanga, and it actually notified, and the system notified people about the same time as neighbors who had noticed it, dialed 911. So it definitely works. And if people had been asleep, it would have been a great jump on the
Paul, is there any way to get that on more mountaintops, like Castro Peak over here and some other places?
I think that I don't actually know. I said Saddle Peak, but maybe it's Castro Peak.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely the highest point, and they've got views all around.
Gotcha.
So, initially it's been very good, and I can certainly imagine that a secondary unit will get put up as well, because it should be monitoring overlapping circles, right?
Yeah. No, that's so neat. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Paul, I'd like to just mention on that note, I just finished a house here in Malibu that has 4 infrared sensors on it. One's looking east, one's west, north, and south.
Oh.
And they are hooked up to a control system that is run by 48-volt batteries, 48-volt pump that will automatically turn on the sprinklers when the fire gets within 40 feet of the house. And it sprays water all over the entire house. And the whole system is fully automated. You can control it from your phone. It's monitored back in Colorado, where they have all the monitoring stations. And a few years ago, there was a fire that came through one of the Northern California fires where this system was on a house, and the system saw the fire, the sprinklers came on, the fire went on, around the house and kept on going. The house was saved, and that fire continued on to burn down several more homes. So
Because the fire, it creates a climate like Calamigos Ranch did. It's a
Glenn,
mist.
Yeah.
It's just a whole other weather when you're near it and it's on.
And the owner has been gracious enough to say that if anyone would like to set up a time to come and see a demonstration, he'd be happy to do it. One time we were doing a little barbecue out there for the guys, and a bunch of the workers were working on the roof, and the sprinklers came on because I had it turned. I actually had this thing activated while we were building the house, and I could hear all the screaming and hollering. Well, that's because they were all getting soaking wet on a nice hot day. And so it definitely works, even with a barbecue. So we have a controller that turns it off for 6 hours if you're going to have a barbecue. And then it automatically reassigns itself. But anyway, if anybody wants to see that, he's more than welcome to display it. It's just up there by Marisol. It's about a 16,000 square foot home.
Wow.
Awesome. I want to.
He fought the fire in Ventura when the fire came up to his house, and he said he never wanted to go through that again. So he put the system on his house.
Awesome. Thank you for that, John. I have another topic here. It's well, it came in a little bit late. There's the and it's on the agenda for city council. I don't know if you want to opine about it right now, or if you want to wait for the meeting, but the Wagner affidavit investigation, releasing the attorney-client privilege documents and statements. I don't know if you wanted to comment on it, how you feel about it.
I can tell you that we have City of Malibu spent about $100,000 investigating the Wagner affidavit and getting a report written. And that report has been given to the members of the city council and the city attorney. And now we have agendized a discussion of whether to release it or how much of it to release. And that will take place on Monday night. And that, I believe, is item 4A.
5A.
5A.
Just because I pulled it up here.
We'll probably be taking that out of order because we anticipate there will be an awful lot of people who will call in for that. So rather than have people call in and wait to get to it, I think it's only polite to try and get it to it quickly. I think that and as people are telling me, the city paid for it, the residents paid for it, they should get to see it. It's
Okay, well,
we'll see. We'll see how the votes go.
I can let you know right now I won't be calling in, but I wish you all I wish you all the luck.
You know what, Ian, we've noticed you never call in and our feelings are getting hurt.
Gosh. You don't call, you don't text.
The other city council people are going, what's wrong with Ian? Is he mad at us?
Is he okay? We see those 3 dots popping up on our phones, but then it goes away.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's actually the last item I have on my list here. Anybody in the gallery want to say anything? Oh, Sherry, is that building looks complete behind you?
What?
Oh my goodness, that's what's coming.
That's the architectural rendering, but
Oh my goodness,
it's coming right along. It's taking shape very nicely. I hope everybody's taking it in as, just construction right now, because it's going to look a lot better when the landscaping's in than just concrete and wood as it is at the moment.
It looks beautiful, by the way, Sherry. I've been watching it build up every day. It's amazing.
Is the projection for completion date still October of next year?
Yeah, I don't think anyone at the SMC facilities team wants to give a month.
Okay.
But I have been hearing that they're still saying 2022, beginning classes in 2023. Based on our recent early childhood lab school project in Santa Monica Civic Center, which took a lot longer than was anticipated because of supply chain issues. We have to be careful, but they're still optimistic.
Pesky supply chain. I just want to say that I have this ready for Sherry anytime she comes on any calls here. Proud alum. Thank you for that. And Dr. Jeffries is just amazing. So
Well, while we're on the topic of SMC, I just want to share the Today Show featured SMC this morning.
all right.
Really?
Because on Tuesday, there will be a major food distribution program we called Giving Thanksgiving. And 1,200 students, anyone who's a registered student who signed up for it, will be able to receive a very generous contribution of produce and groceries and dry goods, and it just got really great recognition. And the Today Show heard about it, picked it up, and did a really lovely 5-minute feature on the foundation that started it. Lizzie Moore, our foundation president, was featured, and Gelson's gave a $10,000 donation to provide gift cards to students who are in it. So we're excited about the national coverage, and it's anybody who's interested, let me know if you're interested in volunteering. I'll be there all day on Tuesday.
Wow, congrats.
And by the way,
Chris.
Mayor Grisanti,
Right there, yeah.
you did get an invitation. We'd love to have you join our list of dignitaries who are there.
They get an invitation?
It came by email, but all the city council members got an invitation.
Does he get a +1?
I got it.
I'm not sure when it would have come from Dr. Jeffries' office, but
Okay,
anyway,
look it up.
I'm happy to forward the info for anybody who might want it.
right. I will look it up.
And Sherry, too, I don't think you were trying to make this point, but is that coming from me? Is that background noise? Is that just something in my head? Okay, sorry. It is something in my head, Barbara. Thank you. Always looking out.
Now I'm hearing it too.
I hear a little. I hope it's not me.
Oh, now it went away. So I just wanted to say that SMC doesn't get enough praise for what it does in the community. Quietly, very, very humble group of people over there. And if you haven't taken a tour yet, I very much encourage you to, of the existing campus. It was excellent for my personal and professional growth, so I appreciate that. Sherry, I don't think you were there when I was there, but maybe not.
I was there when you toured.
When I toured, yes, and I thank you for that. And Dr. Jeffrey is just a beloved member. I consider her of our community also. She's so great, and I was so happy to be there for the groundbreaking. And I mean, look, that looks beautiful next to the mountainside. It's just going to be great, and I can walk there. It'll take me about 2 minutes. So, and Paul can too. When
I
they
can
reopen-
actually see it out the window. All I have to do is go like that.
Oh, we got Sarah Palin here. You can see it from his house.
Quick scroll that way for me.
No politics. Sorry, no politics.
Ian,
Yes.
as part of my fact-finding thing, or to prove that I'm correct, I'm inviting you to come over here and sit in this very chair and go like that. You'll see.
Okay.
I swear.
I'm just
There's
really
no
excited
Russians
about
here.
this. I'm excited about the green roof. I hope you'll be able to see that. I can't wait to see the green roof.
I think I'm
Sherry,
too
you're
low
muted.
to see the green roof.
Oh, you're
Right
muted, Sherry.
there. Okay. Yeah.
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 Is there
It's
still
gonna be
going to be
wonderful.
is there going to be a
All
helipad
plants.
still?
There will be this right about, where can I do it?
This is being
Here
recorded. I can't wait to use this footage later, but go ahead.
Next month's
Is
marketing,
the
Sherry.
room, we can do meetings in the room.
Uh-huh.
There's a community room. And then if anybody's incarcerated, they could be back there.
Right.
I'll make a reservation.
It could be spontaneous, Paul. You don't have to make a reservation.
Well, I
Okay.
hate to get taken somewhere else.
Aye, aye, aye. Perfect. Well, that's all I have on my list. We got about 4 more minutes. So if anybody else has, John.
I have a question, and I sent out a little email blast to bring it into a discussion. Paul, as you know, that the chamber has been kind of bouncing around from one desktop to another desktop, trying to land a place where we can consider ourselves actually a home with an office. And of course, we don't need much, but do you know if there's a place inside City Hall that has a spare area for a desk that we could call a chamber home?
I
and
actually
visitor center?
I've toured the city hall, and I've gone into all the little back rooms and everything, and I can tell you that amazingly enough, the city hall is pretty darn full. We also are still trying to hire more inspectors and more planners. We're currently doing about 80 inspections a day. And that generates a lot of paperwork, and there needs to be a place for all of that stuff to get shuffled together. Right now, the city of Malibu, as we go through the process of allowing people to do the remodels they would be doing if the fire never occurred, plus replacing all of those houses, we have a situation that we're a little like an anaconda that's trying to swallow a water buffalo right now.
What an analogy.
And it's going to take a while to digest that and get back to a normal level of activity. But I don't see any hope for it within the next year and a half, 2 years.
God, I always feel like that.
Well, Paul, we really appreciate you talking about that. And if it ever does change, please let us know. You know, we're just looking for a home for the chambers, you well know. You know, I'm confident we will find something in 2022. Temporarily, we're just virtual, you know.
Yeah.
And we'll save some money that way, and that's good for now.
And feel free to ask that question anytime you want to play Stump the Mayor.
I
Yeah,
love
right,
the
yeah.
anaconda answer though, with the water buffalo. That's easy.
It's possible, right?
I don't know if it's possible or not, but I've definitely seen photos of snakes with possibly large lumps in their tummies.
I'm going to be looking on my phone a bunch of anaconda videos and then scare people.
Yes, you could. I would recommend you do that, Ian.
Yeah, and then Amazon.
I would recommend you don't.
Yeah, right.
We only have another minute, and then you can do it.
Okay, perfect. Oof.
Well, Paul,
Don't show it to your daughter, though.
Yes,
Paul-
no. Yes, John.
no, I was going to say, Paul, thank you for making a very visual of that of that request. And by the way, on another note, for the Malibu Film Society, we're looking for a place to do a theater movie. If you know of any halls that are available. So that's a place that we're always looking for where we can hold our movies.
Well, one of the things that I was kind of thinking of, you know, where they're building that new that new center there, it's going to be called Cross Creek Market on Civic Center Way.
Mhm,
It's the La Paz development.
mhm.
City of Malibu has got a 2-acre piece of that at the back on the left-hand side.
Mhm.
And the thought was that we are going to do something with it. And several people have suggested we have some kind of event space there, which would be a natural for that.
Yeah, some kind of a cultural arts center
Yeah.
where people could
And you guys
perform.
would make a great tenant.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly something to look into.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a theater.
It would.
And how are things, and I'm aware of the fact that something's going on with the Jewish Center and they don't want it off, but
Well, there was some false claims brought up by David from the Malibu Film Festival,
right.
David Katz, and so that's put a big monkey wrench into doing business there.
Yeah.
Right now, we're holding our movies over there at the Agora. Hills site in Agoura Hills, but it's not the same as being home in Malibu, and so
Right.
we need to create a venue here. So yeah, if you can keep us posted on something that looks like it's a possibility, that would be awesome.
I see,
Great.
we're running out of time here, and I see there's a few people. Frederick, is it Jana? I'm so sorry if it's Jana. Is it Jana? Yeah,
Me? I'm Jana.
Jana, perfect. And
Jana.
Mr. K. Nice to see you all. We have the mayor here. If you want to say hi, introduce yourself. I promise you he doesn't bite, at least when he's not provoked.
Only anacondas bite, right?
Only anacondas bite. Just don't, yeah, right.
I was mainly interested in the part of the conversation about rebuilding.
Mhm.
I have been working on several homes in the Oak Park area that were being rebuilt from the ground up. And it's something I'm uniquely skilled in working with, and especially for people on a tighter budget, not the stereotypical Malibu resident, perhaps. And so I was just interested in hearing about, where things stand and how things are going. So that was an interesting part of the conversation for me.
From what I've done is so far, we've as slow as we are, we're faster than the county has been, the permitting. And I wish there was something we could do to make it faster. And I keep trying to find ways to trim days and weeks off of things. So I'll keep trying.
One way to make it faster, it would be to eliminate the fire department requirement.
Fire department doesn't seem that happy about letting go of that. They don't like the work enough to actually have somebody there available to talk to on a regular basis. But they yield, they really are holding tight to that. They want to still work remotely and not have counter hours. It's silly.
I've got several projects that are being held up with them.
Yeah.
And nothing's happening week after week month after month.
No.
Well, now we're going almost year after year, so.
Yeah.
Now, I had a guy who was trying to get an appointment for them to come and sign off on his fire sprinkler installation. And the quickest they would give him an appointment was 3 weeks out. And that's,
Yeah.
then they called the owner and wanted to push it back some more. Guy, of course, can't close up the walls until he gets it done. So they're not making it any easier.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, well, we're a little
Well,
bit
thank
over
you,
time.
Paul.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm going to go have some water buffalo for lunch.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, in thinking about Ian's daughter's name, we all have to watch the lunar eclipse tonight.
Ah, yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder, Sherry.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's starting at 11:18 p.m. ish.
And people thought I was strange for naming my daughter Eclipse,
Ba-dum-bum.
Well,
Thank
you.
you, Mayor
Thank you. Very
Grisanti.
interesting.
thank you for
Everybody.
having me.
Thank you,
Yes.
Paul.
And
It's
thank
Luna.
you.
It's Luna, it's not Eclipse.
Awesome job. Thank you,
And
guys.
Mr. K and Mr. Carrion, hello, and thank you, everybody.
All right, guys.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everybody.
All right. And if you want to hear the jokes again, you can always rewatch this whole episode of Conversations with the Mayor. Thanks, Barbara.
That was great, Ian.